Good morning, everybody. So I wanted to briefly go over something with you. It's related to a bill that's been proposed by a group of federal officials related to the coronavirus. And just to go over this in a little detail, so a bill is something that is presented as a way to get something approved in real simple terms. So basically there was a document written. It's a proposal by a group of federal people. Primarily my understanding is people related to the coronavirus task force. And they want the bill to go all the way to the president's desk for a signature. And as that bill goes through each part of the process, it's typically voted on by different groups that represent our entire government. So this specific bill has an HR designation here. See the H and the R. And this stands for House Representatives. And it has a number, 6201. And it's titled Families First Coronavirus Response Act. And the act part of this just refers to action. So it's something that's going to be implemented, something that's going to be done in relation to the bill. So the bill has obviously actions that will be carried out in it. Now, in real simple terms, let's just look over here on the left. So basically, you have a legislative. This is in regards to a group that makes and enacts laws, meaning they put laws into place. Collectively, this group is referred to as Congress. Again, this is not a entire course, college level lesson on government structure. It's just so that it helps understand the relationship of how this act, this bill of to-dos per se, is moving through the federal government for approval. So down at the bottom here, we see Congress comprises the House of Representatives. And remember, back to the bill, HR 6201. The 6201 is just a number designation, and there's many of these bills proposed in different circumstances throughout every year. In the House of Representatives, there are 435 voting representatives. These are individuals that can cast a vote toward the bill. Keep in mind, all of the House of Representatives are elected people. These are people that are elected. And the number 435 of those representatives, those people, is divided by all 50 states and in relation to the quantity of people in each state. So, for example, if one state has way more people than another state, they might naturally have more representatives representing that state. Okay, so House of Representatives, 435 voting members. These are comprised of individuals that are voted in to that position, represented by all the states in the United States of America. Now, the Senate, this is a similar. There's 100 people that represent this group, again, voted in by states, and 2 per state. So we have 50 states times 2 is 100. So we have 100 voting members in what's called the Senate. So collectively, both of these groups are voting and helping make laws active in the United States. Again, this is not a college level, detail-oriented explanation of these different branches of the government. It's just to help better understand how a bill, which again is something that's proposed as to be put into law, how the progress of that moves through. I'm on a site called govtrack.us, which is an informational website related to bills. And I am going to show you the history of the bill. As you can see down here, we have the bill was introduced March 11th on House schedule. So it was scheduled. Generally this related to scheduled for a vote, scheduled for review, something like that. And then it passed the House. Again, the House is this group of people, this 435 people right down here. So they collectively got together and the majority voted, meaning more people voted for it than against it. Now, the next step, it has to be passed by the Senate. And again, the Senate is 100 individuals, that 2 people, essentially, from each state in the continental United States of America. And remember, we have 50 total states as part of that group. Remember, 50 times 2 is 100. Now, if you've been following the news at all, and particularly the explanation of this from the White House conference yesterday by the president, vice president, and a group of professionals related to the coronavirus resolution. The purpose of this bill is laid out pretty clear here, making emergency supplemental appropriations to the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2020, and for other purposes. So basically what this means is giving financial relief, financial assistance, and other types of assistance in relation to the coronavirus and how it can help individuals who have been affected by the reaction and response to this virus. Now, if you've ever watched the news and you've heard individuals complaining about bills, again, these are things proposed to be put into law. Groups of people write these bills of how they're laid out. This particular bill is 124 pages long. So that's a lot of information in a bill. And some bills can be much longer, etc. But 124 pages is a lot of content. So one of the primary reasons I created this video is because there is concern from small businesses, business owners, employees, different groups that got caught up in the confusion and the concern of this virus, because there was a lot of information flowing around from media agencies, from public officials, from different groups, and it creates a lot of confusion. And some of us could be sitting at home like, we don't know what's going to happen next. We don't know what's really going on. So it kind of brings a lot of businesses and a lot of people to a halt, particularly on the point of, isolation, staying home, not going out, not going to restaurants, not doing the normal things we would normally do. Like Walt Disney closing its doors temporarily, and a lot of other organizations basically saying, hey, we're on pause for a while. So all that's well understood. We get the reason why that might be being done, but it doesn't change the fact that it affects a lot of people in a lot of different ways, particularly the small business, the employee, somebody who needs help, somebody who doesn't have a high income, and they rely on that job, they rely on that paycheck, and need to be compensated in some way. It's my understanding and my hope that this bill will help address and help some of those individuals. And that's my understanding why there's such a big push on the bill to go through. It's also worth noting this type of bill is, I would consider it more of an emergency type bill, something that's not normal, not usual, of course. So they have what's called suspension of the rules related to this bill, which basically, if you read right here, it's related to non-controversial bills, meaning, what's a controversial bill? It's a bill that could be a lot of going back and forth, a lot of discussion. It's pretty common sense that most people that are in, again, the House of Representatives and Senate are going to look at this and say, yeah, we understand why we would need to pass a bill like this. So there's not a lot of opposition going both ways. And to me, I'm not a big fan of politics. So to me, I really like seeing, both parties working together for, the greater solution to a temporary problem. I think that is a good thing for our country, always, whenever that's possible. Unfortunately, it has to come in these circumstances, which isn't ideal, but at least they're working together to make this happen. So just to jump back to the history of the bill and the process it's going through, remember, it's got Senate is up next, right over here, and then it's signed by the president. So once Mr. Trump signs this bill, this is enacted into law. Like, this is becoming an official thing that is going to be applied, and anyone who qualifies to the terms and conditions of it, which again is 124 pages. And I'm going to include a link to it in this video so you can download and give a shot at reading the bill. And here's just a scanning of this bill. As you can see, there's a lot of details in this bill, which is good because it covers a lot of things, which can generally mean that it was thought out very well. The details were looked at, and, any repercussions, things that could result in a negative and positive outcome based on different actions. So a lot of things were obviously considered in this, which generally speaking can be a good sign as long as it doesn't work against the people that need it. So in my estimation, this is a bill for the people of the United States, which I support bills that are for and at the help direction of the people of the United States in a time of need. And just to look at the voting, there was 90% that voted yes. And in government, generally speaking, yay and nay is used to represent yes and no. These are more historical ways that governments just always use this terminology. Government seems to have its own way of doing things that us folks out in the country sometimes have to spend some time learning and sorting out on our own. I couldn't find any specific data as to when the bill is going to pass, but based on the circumstances and what I understand of it, I would make the personal opinion that this bill will be passed within the next few days, meaning the president will sign it and it will be enacted, which means it's now activated and can be applied and used. And those that qualify to meet the conditions of the bill will be able to start getting the help they need from it. And I think it's important to understand, I come from a business management background and a lot of IT, computer, digital related work. And I think it's very important not to, there's evidently the House of Representatives, again, the House and the Senate over here, which makes up Congress, this group of people, they want to help the American people, okay? That's evident by the votes. That's evident by, everything we're looking at and the circumstances we're in. I think it's very important to, support those that are trying to help and not make it more difficult, because at the federal level, these congressmen and women have a very high responsibility to make decisions, and they make decisions based on the information they can find, what they're hearing, what they're seeing. And what I've personally observed is that the news media can sometimes bend and twist and also attack those individuals that are trying to help. And we have to be really smart and careful about that when watching news, watching the media. Because if you do read the news or you do follow the media from any, whether it's CNN, CNBC, MSNBC, Fox News, any of the major news networks, it's pretty evident that you get a different story, sometimes different stories from every agency. So you're hearing all kinds of different things, and it can create a tremendous amount of confusion. And it's just, in my opinion, it's so vital that we don't allow ourselves to become too confused, but look at who's really trying to help and help sort this out and support those people. This leads me to a quote by one of my favorite childhood TV shows, which was Mr. Rogers. And he said, when I was a boy, and I'm sorry, I'm closing this ad down here. When I was a boy and I would see scary things in the news, my mother would say to me, look for the helpers. You will always find people who are helping. So I think it's particularly important in times like this, and any time where as a country we're having to come together, and I would say generally try all the time, despite the condition we're in right now. This is such good advice to me, and I just think it's so important that we're looking for the people that are actually trying to help, and not and knowing the difference and looking at the ones or the entities that might be trying to make more confusion for us. Because we just want to know, as citizens in this country, we just want to know what's going on. We want the straight facts. We want what's actually happening, not a mixed message coming from 100 different directions. And no one is perfect, in my opinion. There is no perfect person out there. And if you find a perfect person, let me know, because to me, that's a unicorn in this universe. Although there are people that I know that I would consider perfect because they're just really great people, and I say that's a perfect person. But again, who's perfect? We have to be realistic with, the world we live in and the country we live in. So again, my opinion is try to tone down, look for the people that are helping, look for the people that are trying to make this a better outcome, and support them in some way. Even if it's just, saying to a friend, hey, this person supported this bill to try to help. I'm really happy they did that. So that's my opinion on all of that. Again, just a quick recap on all this. So we have this House of Representatives Bill 6201, Families First Coronavirus Response Act. The bill is all about supporting, helping those that really need it most, whether it's healthcare, work, everything related to coronavirus, financial, health-wise, et cetera, et cetera. So many things included in this bill. It's 124 pages. The bill has passed the House of Representatives, meaning this group who makes, generally speaking, makes the laws of the country, which comprises of congressmen and women from all of the United States. The House of Representatives, 435 people that represent the states of our country. And the bill now has to go to the Senate to be approved. So this is 100 people, again, 2 people per state that are voted in by the state that represent the country. So technically, you could call your senator, your state senator, or email your state senator and said, please vote on this bill. Although in this specific circumstance, I think it's highly unlikely that it's not going to pass Senate. And then after the Senate, it goes to the president, as we can see here. So the history, again, going down, and you can see it's moving along very fast. March 11th, March 14th, and we're on the 15th right now. So there is very good chance this thing is going to be signed by the president. Again, in my opinion, I think it's going to be within 24 hours, 48 hours. My opinion. I cannot guarantee that. Well, thank you for watching. I hope this helps some. If you're a small business owner, if you're an employee, if you have a small business, whatever situation you're in that you're realizing that you're being hit by this financially, health-wise, in some other way, let's all have a hope that this bill is going to be able to compensate you in some way and help relieve some of the stress and the loss that this whole coronavirus situation has created for some of us. So I hope this was helpful. Please feel free to ask any questions or anything. I might be able to answer for you. If you've seen some of my other videos, just know I'm just an average American dad, family guy. I love to study and research and find out information about these types of topics. And where possible, I choose to share some of the information if I can. So again, hope this was helpful. Best of luck to you. Thank you for watching. And until next video, have a great day.